The governor of New York has proposed to ban natural gas in all new buildings in the state. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the fact that the New York State governor has proposed a ban on natural gas hookups in all new development in the state of New York. Now, what this has to do with is the whole global warming thing, the Green New Deal, etc. Now, if anyone who watches this channel knows, I covered just a little while back, the state of California is trying to do something very similar, where they're saying, hey, we want all of our new construction, everything to have all electric on the inside, because what they're saying is that with natural gas, there's more carbon released into the atmosphere, and that carbon is causing global warming. Now, that may be true, right? However, my thought is that I don't think that this is good overall, because it causes increased costs for the landlords, increased costs for the developers, increased costs for the end consumer, and at the same time, they scream, hey, housing is not affordable, but they put this huge mandate on all of the people who are providing and needing housing and causing housing to be much, much more expensive. Now, before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, okay? Are you in favor of this sort of legislation that would force all new buildings to have, no natural gas whatsoever? You know what the end result's going to be. They're going to say, hey, all the old buildings have to be retrofitted to get rid of gas, to get rid of heating oil, etc. And they all have to get extremely expensive retrofitting, and that's going to cost landlords billions and billions of dollars to redo all of their units to meet this new standard, okay? And it's not going to make housing any more affordable for anyone. It's only going to make things worse. Meanwhile, other states, other municipalities aren't going to participate in that. And guess where the tenants are going to move? They're going to leave these cities and states that are putting these ridiculous laws into place, and they're going to move somewhere where they can actually afford to live, okay? Anyway, this article is coming from Yahoo News, and it says, New York governor proposes first ever statewide ban on gas hookups in new buildings. Let's see what this article says. As the centerpiece of a multi-pronged initiative to combat climate change, New York Governor Kathy Hochul proposed on Wednesday a first-of-its-kind statewide ban on natural gas hookups in all new buildings. New construction in the state will be zero emission by 2027, and we will build climate-friendly electric homes and promote electric cars, trucks, and buses, Hochul said in her annual State of the State speech. In a policy outline released Wednesday ahead of the State of the State address, Hochul's office laid out her plan to curb on-site greenhouse gas emissions. In effect, the plan means that new buildings could have neither oil or gas burners for heat or hot water, nor gas stoves. The plan would also require energy analysis of every new building's energy usage, known as benchmarking. Hochul's climate change agenda also sets a goal of 2 million electrified homes by 2030. Listen, I'm not opposed to using electricity as a source for heating or for, warming up hot water, etc., right? What I don't like is the mandates, okay, saying that, hey, all these new buildings, they have to use this. And there's no thought of, hey, what is this going to cost, okay? Simply put, electricity, at least where I'm from, electricity is more expensive than natural gas. That means that when you get your energy bill every single month, the tenants are going to have to pay more during the wintertime to heat their place up using electricity versus the natural gas. Now, there also is no mention of the fact that, hey, when you lose power to a building, guess what? You cannot heat your water, you cannot heat the building, etc. Now, that's the difference between natural gas and electricity, okay? So when you have a major winter storm, sometimes you lose power, even in places like New York City. And in the city, imagine all of a sudden people no longer having the ability to heat their units because hey, we don't have the gas anymore. So yeah, I mean this could be an issue in terms of cooking. I prefer cooking on gas. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to lie about that issue. I prefer cooking on gas. So now imagine they tell you, well, all your stoves, no one can have a gas stove anymore. You're destroying the environment. Well, a lot of chefs are going to be pretty pissed off about that. Okay, a lot of chefs. So yeah, I don't agree with this at all. Now, I don't know also how much change this sort of thing is actually going to make towards the environment. The other issue is, when they start pushing electric cars and all of that, they don't mention the fact that electric cars are a lot more expensive than regular cars. Okay. Now, I was a big fan of the hybrid cars, the things like the Toyota Prius, etc. Give people an incentive to do a slow conversion to electric. Let the electric technology catch up first. But instead, they want to throw these mandates out there, and these things aren't helping anybody. All they're doing is hurting people. So yeah, they're going to make housing a lot more expensive. They're going to help fuel the exodus from these states. It doesn't bother me any. I'm going to be perfectly happy when people are vacating New York and California with all their ridiculous rules because they can't afford housing anymore. The governor's proposal comes on the heels of New York City becoming the largest locality in the U.S. to ban gas hookups in new buildings last month. New York City also already has an energy benchmarking law on the books, which was passed in 2016. The statewide plan drew praise from some experts. When we passed the city bill, we said, if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. And it's really exciting to see the governor prove that out. To take these ambitions statewide, Ben Furness, who served as former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's Director of Climate and Sustainability, told Yahoo News, it's a proof point for the entire country that this makes a lot of sense. Well, I don't know if it's a proof point if this makes a lot of sense. We'll have to see it in action, see what the outcome of all of this is before we'll know for sure if it makes a lot of sense. So if New York passes this thing and it's a total failure, housing costs are driven through the roof, developers decide they don't even want to build new buildings anymore because it's too expensive and they can't make any money, then it will be proof then that this doesn't work. Plus, if it doesn't make any impact whatsoever on climate change, and that's what one of my concerns too. How much of an impact is this going to make? Let's say we do this all across the United States, right? And how much of an impact is that going to make if India and China don't participate? The rest of the world decides, hey, we're not going to do this, and here we are. We've we've doubled our energy costs. We've made it so people can't afford to live in their own cities anymore, and developers aren't building new housing because it's too expensive, and we didn't even make a dent in climate change. So that's part of the reason I'm just not in agreement with doing this just yet. But I mean, they could prove me wrong. Okay, I hope they do prove me wrong, and I'll sit here and I'll be like, okay, well, you were right. But until I see evidence that this kind of thing actually will make a difference and actually work, then I'm just not going to be one of these people who's like, yeah, we should do this everywhere. Okay, I'm a skeptic, I'm a conservative, I'm a wait and see type of person, and this is really pushing what I believe in, when it comes to government mandates on very expensive new technology that we don't know is going to make any impact whatsoever. A study by the think tank RMI found that by 2040, the ban on new gas hookups in New York City will reduce emissions that cause global warming by the equivalent of 450,000 cars off the road, out of New York State's population of 19.45 million. 11 million residents live outside New York City, so expanding the policy to the rest of the state would presumably produce similar or even greater benefits. So yeah, that Their study says that, but is that actually the case? I mean, until this is actually implemented, there's no way to actually prove that. Not only that, but if the state of New York loses 450,000 cars because that many people moved out of the state of New York because they couldn't afford housing anymore, that doesn't mean that there actually was any true impact on the amount of greenhouse gases or any of this. I think the part of my issue is that a lot of this stuff that they've been claiming about climate change and all that, I want to see proof that anything that we do, I want to see evidence that the things that we do actually is making a difference. I also, we have to look at more than just, hey, we need to save the environment. They have to keep people in mind as well. They have to keep in mind that, hey, people still need to be able to afford housing, and we don't want to be thrown back to the Stone Ages to try to save the environment. Okay, nobody can drive anywhere anymore. Nobody can fly anywhere anymore. You can't live here. You can't do anything. Everyone has to walk because we don't want to pollute the environment. We can't do things that way, okay? We still need to basically keep people, out of poverty. We need to be able to take care of ourselves and grow and thrive as a society, as people. And we don't want to put policies in place that prevent us from doing that. So let's hope that this kind of policy isn't one of those things that basically stifles the economy and hurts people.